Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Deal, where we discuss business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. My name is Lacey Labs, and I'm here with my co-host, Laura Martin. In today's episode, we interview Augie Schmidt, an entrepreneur and commercial real estate agent in Central Florida, specializing in industrial real estate. Augie's career has centered around commercial real estate and entrepreneurship. He recently had his biggest year in business and hit the $1 million earning mark. He also recently founded a new tech company called REHQ that provides commercial real estate agents with a prospect management software solution. Tune into this episode to hear more about Augie's journey, the commercial real estate and sales experience that he shares, and what advice he would give to younger agents looking to grow their business. Augie Schmidt, welcome to Beyond the Deal. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning. Awesome. We're glad you're here virtually. Very cool. Let's go ahead and get started. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in commercial real estate, what kind of drew you into it, and who you are as a person.
Yeah. So how I was originally interested in real estate, because I think mostly everybody, unless you're a kid of Laura, you know commercial real estate or you grew up in the business and you know about it growing up. I feel like most people, they know about residential real estate first. So I had saw people, flip homes and do that whole deal, and was interested in that. And when I was 12, 13, 14 or so, like I could understand the whole rental income thing and started to draw in more to that. And then my eyes were open to commercial real estate actually in college. And actually how I got my first job with Saunders in commercial real estate was through a teammate, one of my best friends still to this day, Sanoa Lawson. He was a research analyst at a local commercial real estate firm, Saunders. And I was looking for a job now, about to graduate college. And the football season had just ended. And then I talked to Sanoa, and he mentioned that they have a full-time role opening as a research analyst in commercial real estate. And it was one of those things where, you come out of college and you take a role that, it's not exactly the big, $80,000, $100,000 a year salary that, all my other friends were signing. So there was a little bit of, comparison there and like, hey, am I making the right move? But I just looked into the industry. I saw the opportunity that that commercial real estate held, and really what it could be. And I thought this was a great way to get my foot in the door. So that's kind of when my eyes were all open, and really took a job at the same time as a researcher to get started. But I always knew that my gifts and abilities were more aligned to go sell, and that's where more opportunity was as well. So that's kind of the start.
Was that after you had gotten your master's or before?
Yeah, good question. It was during. So I did, they give you 5 years to play football. So I played football at Southeastern, and they give you 5 years to play. So my advisor had pretty much told me I wanted to switch. Actually, I was a business management undergrad, and I wanted to switch to finance like junior year. And my advisor, Beth Leslie, she told me, she was like, hey, either you can, tack on 6 months and get your MBA, or you can switch your major and go with a finance degree in the same amount of time. So I was like, okay, I think the MBA makes more sense, like especially if they were paying for it. So that was the route that I went, and I was still getting my degree. So I had graduated. So I had already graduated with my undergrad, and then it was in between that time of getting the master's, but it was really, right when the football season ended, because it, ends in fall and then you have a spring semester. But after you get done playing college football full time, like I felt like I could have taken 3 jobs, like just the demands of that schedule. So I felt like I had all the time in the world. And then I was just a regular student. But I knew like, hey, I wanted to get in the work world and get after it. So it was kind of right in between there.
I'm beginning to believe that the research analyst is probably the best way to get into commercial real estate, because you become really good at setting prices, which is a lot of the business. And you learn about the properties. And we have a guy in our office who's been with us almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. And he's just, I've never really seen him full-time in that role, but it is really valuable to the agents, and his knowledge and confidence in the industry and how it works. And I think it's a fantastic segue. I would recommend that to actually people that want to get into commercial real estate.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough. If you can, especially, biting the bullet. I mean, getting into commercial real estate, either way, like you're not going to make a lot of money at first. So, you got to bite the bullet for, 12, 18, 24 months anyway. So the ability to be in there and make a small hourly wage or salary while learning the business was really like, that was the best route for me, especially because I had two small kids at the time. So I really couldn't just, live at my parents' house and float. I couldn't do that. But no, you're exactly right, because the research department at Saunders, what it was for is we would crank out all of the BPOs, the BOVs for the advisors. And so we were this department, and we're doing a lot of volume, and we would put together these really nice, like 20 to 30 page, BPOs. And one of those BPOs, you're looking at a piece of property, who's the owner, the square footage of the property appraiser, how it's laid out. You usually go on a property tour, like with the advisor, and you can see it from their perspective. But then also you're running the demographics, the market area, what retailers or, industrial employers are nearby, what roadways, things like that. And then it ends obviously in comparable sales. So then you go pull all the comparable sales, and, you match the value to that property. And so I did every asset class in commercial real estate for 2 years. So by the time I was, done with my 2-year stint of research, I probably did 300 to 400 BPOs. And if you think about comps, like you pull 7 to 10 comps for each of those. So I've looked deep at, 2, 3,000, 4,000 or more commercial properties in my market. So like, even to this day, like if I would look out my window downtown, like I've never specialized in office buildings, but I know who owns that. Like I know, that one was sold about 5 or 6 years ago, if I can remember. Like, so you just know those things, and the lay of the land and the property type really better than anybody else. And then, now translating that to value is a whole nother skill set. And that's more like, hey, you've got the knowledge, but then you go and get more into the salesmanship side of things, which is different, but now you have the value that you can provide to the market. So.
And I feel like research is really a skill that you can learn, if you're interested and willing. But I think the sales piece, you kind of either are wired for it or you're not. You either are okay with rejection and, the highs and lows, or you're not.
Yeah, so. It's hard. And that's one thing, as, other people have asked me a lot about how I've gotten to where I am today. And we did coaching for a stint, and even still through our software company, like we have a community, and people are asking me like, how to reach that level of success. We hold the monthly webinar events. So we do a lot of things to give back, to coach the commercial real estate community. And you're right. So at first, when I started helping other people out, I would get into more the pinpoints of like, hey, building a property database and research, and then like, here's how you like negotiate strategically. But it's more of the, I don't know if you call them soft skills, but there's certain skills and traits that people are given, right? And so I never want to take that for granted, but I realized that even more. That was like, I was incredibly blessed with the ability to be personable. With the brick wall behind you, that's what my kindergarten teacher told my mom on the first day, was like, that Augie, like he could make friends with a brick wall, couldn't he? And then like, that's what my kindergarten teacher said. So like, I've always had that with me. My dad's been in sales for all his life. I think he's been either ran his own business or been commission only since he was like 22 or so. The old guy's, 66 now. So, I feel like I've been given a lot of those like God-given traits and been raised up in that. And yeah, you're right. Translating that to others is hard. Because some people, are born with it and some people are not. However, I do think some of it can be learned. People can force themselves in that way, but also the beauty of commercial real estate. Like if you are a intellectual, just savage, if you have a crazy high IQ, which I am not one of those guys, if you have a crazy off the charts IQ, you're really good with numbers or whatever it may be, but not the best with people, like investment analyst. There's plenty of roles in commercial real estate for you to do extremely well. Go join a capital markets team and be their numbers cruncher. So I think there's many different avenues in commercial real estate. If you're trade or handy focused, like your property management, so there's many different roles that, all different types of people can find success in this business. At least that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. So how did you make the transition? As I believe you specialize in industrial, is that correct? Mm-hmm. So how did you kind of go from analyst into becoming a full-blown agent and kind of choosing your specialty and going down that route?
Yeah, good question. So a lot of people, I actually talked to somebody about this yesterday. A lot of people think that, I just landed in industrial and it was just kind of like all sunshine and rainbows. That was really not the case. I got into multifamily first because when I started to learn about commercial real estate, I was like watching like Grant Cardone YouTube, like underwriting videos, like, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago now. Like he made some pretty good stuff on YouTube. So I would watch that to learn more about the business. So I said like, hey, I want to get into multifamily. And I did that, and I quickly saw that like, hey, I'm not gonna just step up to the plate here and get my shot at a 350 unit complex. So what about the 10 units, the 30 units, the 50 units? And so I looked at that niche in my market, and I databased all those properties. So I think it was 10 to 100 units. There was like 84 properties, and I can't remember if it was just Lakeland or it was Polk County, but there was like less than 100 properties. So I'm brand new, and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, here's the database. I spent, I don't know, 100 hours or more databasing things. Dean didn't pay for a fancy software for me back then. Like it was just, copy and paste on one screen to another. So built my database. And then what I realized after, talking to all the players in the business, I was like, man, like everybody is just like holding these assets, retirement income, passing them to the grandkids. Like that is that's the feel here. And then I did a little bit of a study. To understand. This was actually later that I did this. What we call an opportunity score, and I don't have it trademarked, but I was the first one that like I knew to really talk about it. And it's a ratio between how many properties are in a market. So take the properties in the market, see how many of them transact per year. Okay. So say if there's, say in multifamily, and this was the case, and there was like, there was 100 properties or less, and there was like 9 of them that transacted per year. Okay. So I'm like, all right, that's not a ton, but then you divide it by the number of brokers that are in your market. So the competition in the market, like, and at this time, there was a Tampa office, there was an Orlando office, like I think it was like some Marcus guys that were like had a really good multifamily team that's specializing in those 10 to 100 units. So there was like 10 brokers that were like calling these owners, et cetera, and there was only 9 or 10 properties that sold per year. So if you do the ratio and you say, hey, there's one property trading every year for each broker, it's like, that's not very good. It's not a very good opportunity score. On the flip side, what I found in industrial was that there was I don't know, it was say like 50 to 60 properties trading per year, but there were really only like 2 to 3 other like legitimate brokers in my market that specialized in industrial and did those deals. And obviously, like we want to go take market share and do better than those guys. So if you average that to 17 properties each or whatever it is, like that's a lot better opportunity score, and then you can go make a living off that. So to make a short answer long, I went from multifamily, then had a stint in shopping centers, which I actually still like a lot. But Gary Ralston, early mentor of mine, is kind of the retail whiz and very, very smart guy. And did shopping centers with him for a little bit. And then I just got my shot at industrial. And industrial was where I landed. I noticed that, hey, there's a good opportunity there for me as far as transactions go. But also, I really liked the people in the industry. So, industrial guys, they don't care. Like I just got out of shopping centers, right? And I was doing a little bit of leasing there as well, trying to do the investment sales. And when you do that and deal with retail type tenants, I was like, man, these are not my people. But then I go to industrial and like, they don't care how dirty it is. They don't care that it's rusty. Ceiling tiles are like actively wet or leaking, and they're just like, oh, it'll buff out, So I kind of found my grip there and like, hey, I like these guys. These are more my type of people. So that's how I got to industrial.
That's great.
Awesome. So did the research and opportunity ratios and all that, was that at all part of the reason why you decided to develop software as well? Like you seem like you have this numbers side to you too, even though you're this personable person.
Yeah, there's something there, and I haven't talked about it too much. I am, like I said, I do have some God-given abilities with sales and people, and I'm very fortunate for that. But there's something there that you're right. There's something with, numbers. I've always been more numbers oriented, like the ACT. I remember I got like a 31 on math, which is like 1 point away from the best score. But I got like a 12 on my reading, which is like a 6th grade level in high school. And I was like, this is awful. But I've always been more numbers focused and more of a numbers guy. But also with computers, there's something there that, I've loved computers growing up. I remember like the first computer in my house, like I was born in 94. So the first computer in my house, it's like the AOL dial up and like all like trying to connect to the internet for 10 minutes. And it's like a coin flip if it works or not. So, I've grown up and seen that, and the evolution of what it is today. So I've always been fascinated by it. I've always loved, computers as a kid and whatnot, and, video games as a kid, and just a little bit more techie. But yeah, I guess you can say it's a little rare to see a techier side, but then also, sales oriented as well. So I would say there's something there.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like numbers too. I've seen your stuff on LinkedIn, right? And so you've talked about numbers there in terms of how you've built your business too. And I know you celebrated a big year recently in business on your real estate side. And at the same time, basically you're launching this software, which REHQ, do you call it that?
And we usually pronounce it REHQ.
REHQ, okay, perfect. So REHQ. So what kind of led you to decide to take this kind of, okay, you got your focus, you're in industrial, and then, whoa, software over here. Like, how did that all come together for you?
Well, and in between, you started a coaching for new agents. Right. So it's such a progression.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah. So there's from being in commercial real estate full time, and really what happened was after I hit, for me, it was in a sales role, like you're going to have sales goals, and the sales goal, the big goal for me was $1 million in gross commissions. That's what I wanted to hit, and, do the partner circle thing with SVN. And so once I did that, I was really just kind of goal planning and trying to set goals for the next year and see like what I wanted to do. So after I hit the $1 million mark, I was trying to write down my goals, and I was just like, okay, what should we do? Like 1.5 million? Like, is that the goal? And I was like 2, maybe 2.5 million. I was like, and just like none of those numbers got me excited. And I just had I was going through a lot of prayer and reflection as far as like, what I thought these next few years, like, or these years to come, like, hey, what was the plan for my life? Like, what did it look like? And I really looked back and I remembered I remember being broke, very broke, and getting into the business. And then now I'm at the point where it's like, hey, I've produced $1 million year. And what I said to myself was like, man, what this has done for my life, my family, my community, the organizations we've been able to give to, and other people we've been able to help, what it's done for me in commercial real estate is just incredibly impactful and means a ton. So after that, I said, man, if I could just help one other person go from broke to 100K, or making 50, 70, 80K to making, 200-300K or whatever it may be, I was like, man, that would be incredibly impactful. Because what it does for somebody's life, their kids' lives, their community, et cetera, it means a great deal. So after that, I said, I want to help other people do this. And yeah, so we started coaching and training. And coaching and training is a good business, but what I realized, and we had success, like we had really good success and helped a lot of people. And like, I'm very fortunate for that season of my life. And what I realized is the scale to coaching is limited, right? Because I think the model, when there's one person and then there's, sub coaches underneath them, I just don't find to be the most effective model, because everybody always wants the guy or the girl that's like at the top, and their time energy is limited, right? So that's where I kind of said like, hey, there's limited leverage here. And like I said, I just think that I have the ability to make a big impact. So what's the way that we do that? And it wasn't a big like, hey, strategic move like, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to go do. I knew it automatically. We learned it over time, so we're coaching and training. I've had more than 100 people ask me, what software we're using. They're complaining about their software, how dated it is, commercial real estate so far behind, which I've always like known and kind of thought of. And then, so it was a mixture of those things where it's like, hey, leverage, me coaching 30 people, 50 people, whatever it is, like I can only pour so much into somebody. There's limited leverage there. But on the software side, there's somewhat unlimited leverage, right? Like if we go create a great software product, then, we probably, we have 50, 60 users on our platform as we speak. And, I'm talking to them and giving back to them and in conversations with them, a couple hours a week. And then like, that's obviously scalable to 500 or 5,000 users because they're using the code and they're not using like my coaching and just taking all of that from me. So really leverage, impact, opportunity was really the big reason and purpose. And because we thought, commercial real estate was incredibly far behind and done the same way for a long time. And then we could just, make a lot of changes and big impact in the industry. So yeah, all those things together were kind of, what had us go launch REHQ.
How is REHQ doing? Like, when are you rolling that out?
Yeah. So we've been on the market for like 45, 50 days now. And we had a beta launch in April. So we've had some beta users since April. And really with software development, it's tricky because you have like rollouts and releases, right? So like our if we look back at like our beta version in April, it's like, man, that product was like the best we could do at the time, but like we are a lot better now.
I was one of them, and I did think it was going to be a great product. So I'm ready for if it's ready to go, I'm going to try it again.
Yeah. No, let's do it. It'll be for team functionality. That's one of the things that we've rolled out, 3-4 versions since then and brought on users every time, and they use it, they test it, they break it, they say, hey, here's a bug, here's a feature that we want, this can be better. So we've continuously made those revisions and we're really reiterating the product incredibly fast. We've got our development team is 7 people. So like, we're making a lot of changes to the product to make sure that like, hey, come January, like really, first week of December, come January, it's like we have a product that's incredible that teams can bring on and then all their advisors can go, use it effectively and scale their business. So that's where we're at.
That's exciting.
And is that, so I actually haven't interacted with it. Is it a CRM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that it's a vertically stacked CRM. So what you would think of as a CRM for commercial real estate has your property database, your contacts, your deals, all of those things, all tailored to the commercial real estate business. But what we're really focused on is the prospecting functionality, because that's one area that we think is incredibly far behind, and because brokers, even till this day, I was a $1 million producing broker with an Excel spreadsheet and a cell phone, and it's just like, you just call the list, and so I made this analogy the other day on a webinar, was like, if you go to buy a candle online and you put it in your cart, like they're tracking you with cookies. They send you an abandoned cart email for a 25% off. They have a sales rep. They advertise to you on different websites. They have a sales rep call you during the holidays. But that's like you're buying a $10 candle. and they have a very, very dynamic tech stack in order to sell you something and provide that value to you, give you coupons, etc. Commercial real estate looks much different as far as a transaction standpoint of what goes on, but like we're selling $10 million properties. Like we're not selling $10 candles. So like, why do we only have an Excel spreadsheet and a cell phone? So that's really what, REC is, and where we're headed is the prospecting functionality to make that impact that we're talking about. We want to help, brokers go be more efficient, do more deals with more automation and efficiency. So that's the focus there.
That's awesome. I look forward to interacting with it and getting to see it.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
For sure. So
you do a lot. How do you manage all these various roles and demands in your time and be a dad to 4 young kids and husband and all those things?
Yep. No. So it is a lot, but it's everything in my life is such an incredible blessing. The people that I work with, every single day. So we have a team at the brokerage. We have an incredible team at REC and dev team, marketing team. Gave me the thumbs up emoji. But all of these folks that are on the team and the team is everything. And that's how we do so much. So that's how we run the events and build the software and still broker deals, and don't know if I'll do that forever as far as brokering deals. I believe the software will continue to consume more and more of my time. But I still really enjoy a deal. I love being in deals and doing deals. I think we'll continue to invest in property over time. But so how do I manage all of it? Google Calendar is, smacked full every single day. But trying to be better at time management each and every day, having an incredible team, having a awesome wife that holds the fort down and wrangles the kiddos is all kind of part of the magic mix there.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what are your future plans? You sort of alluded to it. I don't know if I'll always be doing deals. It looks like you're pretty focused on REC right now. Where do you hope things go? Where do you see yourself landing in the next 5 years?
In 5 years? Yeah, so good question. So
when you look at the past 5, it's probably hard to predict.
Yeah, right. It is pretty crazy. What do they say? It's like people overestimate what they can do in a day, hence my calendar, and they underestimate what they can do in 5 years. Because if I look back 5 years and see how different my life was, it's much, much different. So with that being said, I don't necessarily want to underestimate the next 5 years. I want to have big expectations for those. And so I believe that the path is that we're going to continue to roll features at REC that shape commercial real estate in a way that it never has been before. Because a lot of the technology out there, and I'm not here to talk bad about anybody else, but only talk good about, what we're doing. But what we see in the current landscape is that a lot of the technology is dated. It was built 10 or 15 years ago. They got a lot of technical debt, or they've, sold to private equity, or they have big venture capital partners that are, steering the ship when, so far we've been bootstrapped. We've, funded everything ourselves, and we have a lot of freedom and flexibility to go conquer and grow and do what we want to do. So products and features in commercial real estate industry that have synergy with the product in its current state. So if you think about CRM, base CRM and managing items, now we're building in all the prospecting functionality, and then so what else is there to be done in the industry? So property data is a big thing. So there's probably some of that we'll get into late next year. But I would say continuing to tack on more and more products and better serve the commercial real estate industry with REC, and really just push hard and innovate there, because that's what's really exciting, and really is to have the freedom to go and whatever products strategy really shapes the industry. I think that's it's something for us that wakes us up every day and keeps us fire burning. So very heavily on REC, and then everything else. I think we'll continue to buy commercial real estate properties and probably grow more into that over time and tack more of that on. But really heavy focus now is software, and then for brokerage. I've got a very capable team at Saunders that I'm bringing up in the business as well. And shout out to Vin. He's incredible. And so he's a young guy coming up in the business. So over the next few years, we'll see what it looks like. But if it's raising him up and me stepping away to go, go and grow in another direction, I think that works out for everybody. So, nonetheless, really excited about the next 5 years and what it holds.
Clearly, you've become very entrepreneurial, I think, in the years I've known you.
Yeah, and I've always been that way. I've had, people know about 2 or 3 businesses and, 1 or 2 that have been successful, but they don't know about the 15 failures, right? It was a pressure washing company when I was 16 because everybody else was mowing lawns. So I'm going to pressure wash, okay? That was, and then there was a t-shirt company getting into college or like late high school. There was, there's been a lot of things. So I've always been entrepreneurial and I see, and that's one thing that's great with technology is like, hey, there's many different ways we can innovate, products that we can go build, other great products we can acquire and tack on to what we're doing. And I just think there's a lot of ways to serve the commercial real estate industry. So I think we're going to be doing that for the, unforeseeable future in a variety of ways. So, it's all part of that, entrepreneurial spirit.
Awesome. So you have a lot of experience, clearly know your craft very well, and have even done some coaching. So what advice do you give or would you give to younger agents or newer agents who are just starting and trying to build their business in commercial real estate?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I don't want to give the cliche or standard answer. To sum it up and to be shorter with it is it's going to be harder than you think it is, but it'll also be more worth it more. So, when you're in the short term and it's going to be hard, there's going to be a fight, but once you get on the other side and you don't quit and you don't, because the only way you fail is if you quit, unless you pivot, but that's another conversation. That's really, the satisfaction of going through something and being on the other side and finding the success is far beyond money, right? Because if when I was sitting at my desk and like trying to find a way to feed my family with this property database and the cell phone, and I'm sitting here trying to find a way. It's been great to go be $1 million producer. Very grateful for that. And our family is well off. However, I think the what goes on in here in your own heart when you conquer that and you go through that and you go through a hardship and you can see on the other side and you're proud of yourself for pushing through. I think that's more worth it and shapes who you are. Because who you are and who you're becoming, that's going to be brokerage was a season, tech was a season, there's all these seasons. And I'll sum it up in a quote, which is a Alex Hormozy quote, but it's the work works more on you than you work on it. Right. So brokerage for me isn't forever. But what it does to me and who I become through that, who I become even through this next season in technology is going to carry me into the season after that. So who I'm becoming, I would say, step back from the muddy day-to-day, the stress of paying the bills and all that, and really look at like, who are you becoming and look at big picture and then just continue to find a way through.
Awesome. And I'm going to say, if you're a new agent and you're looking to start, go follow Augie on LinkedIn because he puts a lot of really helpful stuff out on there. I've seen some of it.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
So,
and I've appreciated your friendship. So, Aubrey is at Southeastern, which is where you went, and my daughter, and your Saunders office is right there. She interned there this summer, and you've met us for coffee, and just always been a great connection to have. So I've appreciated that.
Yeah. And I appreciate you like trusting us with your child and bringing her to Lakeland. I thought that was like an awesome, how that kind of all worked out.
I think she's staying to my dismay. Can I say that out loud?
It sounds like she's getting more and more rooted. Which
is good. I mean, she's thriving and that's what you want.
you might be trying to pull her back, but I think we might be trying to pull you here.
Absolutely. So, I had dinner with Dean a year ago, April, and he told me she was never coming home. I'm like, okay, thank you. But so anyway, wow. you'll see me. I'll be down. So
yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
Well, Augie, we have a closing question. We ask this question to every guest who's on the podcast. So I look forward to your answer. I think it's going to be great. If you could go back and start your career over, but keep all the knowledge and experiences that you've gained during that time, what are some things you might do differently if you had that chance?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first thing that comes to mind is like to shortcut all the mistakes, all the errors, all the spending 15 months on property types that I made no money in or did no deals. But that would, go against what I just said as far as, the person that you become, right? Like I wouldn't have become the person that can go produce $1 million in industrial if I didn't fall on my face in multifamily and have a rough patch with shopping centers. So if I were to go back with all the knowledge that I'd have today, I would say big picture, I would do nothing different. I'm extremely grateful for the way that everything's turned out. There's little things here and there as far as, investments that we've made and deals that we've bought, probably buy more commercial real estate. I feel like everybody says that. I wish I would have played the game sooner with accelerated and forced appreciation. So we've bought some commercial real estate assets and we've actually done more of the flip game on the investment side, which has been great. And once again, to make a short answer long, for other folks, that's one thing that I like that I've done, and don't want to have too much of an ego here saying I wouldn't do anything different. But what I've seen folks do and the trap that I've seen other people fall into is they'll buy commercial real estate and they're younger, and then they get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, $7,000, $10,000 a month, and they're just like, I'm 27. I am made in the shade. I don't need to do anything. But what we did was we went and flipped out of some assets. So we had, put 100K in, take 200 or 300K out. We did some, very good deals over the years. And what that would do is like, you get a big lump sum of money. It's like, I got to go do something with it, So for us, that's been, okay, that's going to float me a couple of years of employees. That's going to, software development, whatever it may be. So that was one thing that I did, which really just happened. I didn't really plan for. Like I said, I thought the monthly residual income was a good idea, but the bigger pops of investments has really kept us hungry. So yeah, I would say just maybe doing some of that sooner with making better tax decisions when you're young and when you start making that much money. I've paid a lot of money to Uncle Sam, which is a great part about this country. I'm not one of those, woe is me, I have to pay a lot of money in taxes, right? Because that means you made a lot of money. But maybe play that game a little bit better. And in big picture, I would say, not much though. Super grateful for how everything's turned out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for your time. It was great having you on today. We appreciated your insights.
Thank you, Augie.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See ya. That was Augie Schmidt sharing his insights on commercial real estate business growth and creative software solutions. For more information on Augie, REHQ, SVN, or to learn more about SVN Latus, click the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Deal.